Hello. More absolutely sacred work in progress. Today, I'm so excited. I'm hosting my good friend, Danielle. She is just this most magical human, and I know you are going to love whatever she shares today, whatever comes through for our highest and greatest good today through Danielle. And Danielle, welcome. Do you want to just introduce yourself? And then I have a little invitation for you.
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Danielle Aguirre. I am the owner of Be Still and Glow. I am a spiritual life coach, and I've been doing it about a year and a half now. I love it, love it, love it. I really just lead one-on-one, heart-centered conversation to help people kind of dig deep on their traumas and triggers and help them release them with ease and move into a freer way of living through a heart-centered life.
Yeah, that's so incredible that you feel called to do this work because like when you said, bringing people kind of through some of those deeper things, it sounds like it could be quite heavy. And that's like that.
Very heavy.
I felt that like a little bit of the weight of that, and like that's just such a special calling, I think, to have.
Thank you. It is. It's an honor to actually work with. I mostly work with women one-on-one. But the things that people feel comfortable sharing with me is always so touching.
Yeah, I can imagine it's like very rewarding too when you see people have shifts and big things. You know, before we really get too deep into today, I actually had a session with Danielle. Gosh, that had to be like 2 months ago.
Yeah, May. Hmm.
It was a little while ago, but she took me through this really just quick exercise to drop me into like the heart center before we got started. And I was hoping you could do that for us and whoever's listening to this whenever they tune in, because it was such a like a grounded, beautiful place to start. So if you could do that for us.
Oh, yes, I would love to do that real quick for you guys. So for anybody who's driving, don't do it while you're driving, of course, but if you're outside in the grass, take your shoes off, put your feet in the ground, let your feet touch the blades of grass if you're in a weather permitting place at the moment. Or if you're in your home, just, sit and relax for a minute. Let me take you into a grounding, centering space. Now, I want you to go ahead and close your eyes and take one deep inhale in and hold at the top and then release slowly. Go ahead and take another deep cleansing breath and exhale. And when you inhale, I want you to imagine you're breathing in the freshest, most pure air. And when you're breathing out, I want you to release anything lingering in your head and your heart and your stomach and your shoulders and your back and your legs. Just let it all go for this moment. This is your time for you. Go ahead, take another cleansing breath in, exhale out, release anything that's still lingering inside of you. It doesn't serve you if it's sitting and it's heavy. And then let's take one more inhale and exhale. Release any muscles that are still tight, any tightness in your jaw, in your shoulders, in your arms, your hands, your chest. Let it go. In your stomach, let it go. In your hips, release. Your legs, your knees, your feet, your toes. You are here, you are present, and you are at ease. And whenever you're ready, you could wiggle your fingers and your toes and open your eyes.
Thank you, Danielle.
So
Thank you.
welcome. Mhm.
I I know we kind of like had this idea of talking about intuition today. That was kind of just it was like the one word that we gave this. But I just really, I want to ask you a little bit more about like why you feel so called to this work. Like, what do you think drew you in?
There's a lot there. I want to say I've always been a spiritual person, a spiritual child. I just didn't have a name for it, right? And I feel like I want to say around high school is when I probably had my first spiritual awakening, where there was some big life events in my personal life, both freshman and junior year of high school, that just rocked my whole world. And when you're at such a young developmental age, and you still don't really know who you are and, like, where you fit in the world. It's such an awkward time to go through such big life events, but it was pivotal because I it led me here, you know what I mean? And so, I wanted to say, just to kinda give, like, reference as to how, like, because a lot of people ask me that, like, "How would you even get here?" You know? I was in therapy several times in high school for the stuff that happened, in and out, just to work through a couple things, and then I wanna say I didn't get back into therapy until after college, and in my early 20s, I went through some more major, like, really bad life events and traumas, and, just kinda had it, and then, even in my married life, I suffered several miscarriages, about 3 that I know of at least. Uh, Thankfully, I have 1 healthy child, but I really wanna say it's, like, the miscarriages. By the 3rd miscarriage, I was like, I didn't understand, and I'm somebody that's religious. I am Catholic. I'm very close to God. I have a very deep relationship with him, and I just was like, there has to be more, like something isn't making sense to me in my heart. Like I could pray all I want, I could trust God all I want, I could surrender all I want, but there there's I couldn't make it make sense, if that makes sense. Not to say that twice, but, like, I finally realized, like, this is so much bigger than me. This isn't happening to me, it's happening for me, and I wanna say that to anybody who ever feels stuck, anybody who's ever in that victim mentality of, like, "Why me?" Like, you have to switch your perspective. Greatest that's the greatest thing that saved me from myself is just trusting. Like, I don't know, it's this perspective shift, but it takes time, it takes work, and as far as, like, becoming a spiritual life coach, part of the reason I wanted to do it, sorry this is such a long answer, is realizing it really is up to us as individuals to shift that perspective because we could change our whole life by the way we look at things and by the way we experience the world around us, the way people treat us, the way people hurt us. It's just incredible, and so being able to have those heart-centered conversations, it's life-changing 'cause I all I have to say is, like, 2 sentences, and you see somebody's eyes light up like, "That's it? It's that simple?" And it's like, yeah, you just have to get in practice of it and watch your life.
Yeah, I mean, what's standing out to me is just like the idea of perspective because that it does it seems so simple and it's
Yeah.
really actually quite difficult when you go to put
Yes.
it in practice. It's like this
Yeah.
simple concept that is so hard to I mean, our minds are powerful and constantly at work to, try to keep us safe, like that whole, all of those kind of safety built-in mechanisms that are keeping us from, that higher expression, softer way of life, that like, release of grief or whatever,
Yeah.
barrier we're facing. Yeah. And I'm not surprised that it wasn't just like a quick answer because, is it ever? Is it,
No.
Yeah.
No, but we really can convince ourselves in our mind of anything. So we could always make it worse in our head than it actually is. And another thought that came to mind as you were speaking is our brain's constantly lying to us and making up false stories. So that's another part of it.
Yeah. I feel like that leads us right into the idea of intuition and how to know, whether or not, when you're thinking something, believing something, how do you
Yes.
know? How do
Yeah. Well, can I ask you back? What is your intuition? What is intuition for you?
Intuition for me, I mean, the way that I typically describe it is, just for me, it's a little bit cut and dry for how to know whether or not it's your intuition or, fear talking or whatever,
Mm,
limiting belief. And that is just, the nuance of the language. Like, is it calm and sure and supportive, or is it, fear based? Is it, keeping you small? Is it, telling you that you can't? Is it,
yeah.
if it's any of those things, it's not your
Right.
intuition.
Right. Yeah. Is it your head? Is it your heart? Is it your gut? It is very tricky. For me, I feel like the older I've gotten, it's so much more clear, like intuitively when I get those intuitive hits, basically. So, say it's like a job interview, or say it's you're going on a second date with somebody and they ask you out. I mean, it could be anything. Um, when somebody poses that question, like, "Do you want to take this job?" or "Do you want to be my girlfriend or boyfriend?" or whatever, like, what does your body say? That's, like, where I initially tell people to go, because if it feels like a full body yes, then go. Like, that's always an indication, like, if nothing within you's carrying doubt, that is a move to go, right? But if somewhere inside of you, it feels like a yellow light, like a, "Hold on a sec, they said this and it felt a little fishy, I need to think about it." I listen to that as well, and then there's other things that it's a clear, full body no, and we've all had those where it's just kinda like, "I don't want that job, I don't want that car, I don't wanna go on that vacation," or whatever, and it's just like it's just clear, and that's really cool, but the big thing about intuition I find too is if it's like a muscle, if you're going to the gym, like, the more you use it, the stronger it gets, right? Um, I also feel like what you were saying, it is a calm whisper. It's almost like this. It's almost like spirit talking to you. Like, sometimes I'll like sit and I'll pray to my angels, or I'll pray to spirit or God. And it's just like, where do I go with this? If I feel like just so in the dark on something. And it's like, I'll take my time with something sometimes, and it's just kinda like I'll feel like that whisper, that knowing, and it is very calm, and it's not a slap in the face, and it's just kinda like, "This is where you should go, dear," like, "I'm here." And you feel that support, and that's really cool too.
Yeah. Something that popped into my head as you were sharing is like, what about like how do you feel about the times where like you feel like I feel like sometimes my intuition is speaking and it's like I'm in denial of what
Mm,
it's showing, where you feel like, oh, but this can't be, like you you have the awareness that it's the intuition, but you also have this other, like the angel devil on your shoulders kind of thing where it's just like, how do you navigate that? What do you have any kind of insight there?
yeah, definitely. That means you're in your head. You're not living from a heart center. You know what I mean? Like, because we all do it where we like second guess ourselves, but ultimately at the end of the day, we all have our answers. We really do. And um it's trusting ourselves enough to know those answers and moving forward with them and not being ashamed and not carrying doubt and owning your truth. So it comes with like confidence and trusting and just saying, "This is who I am and this is what I feel is right. And if you don't agree with it, fine, but this is I have to do this for myself."
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm definitely one to get lost in the overthinking and everything else. Like that right when you said it was like a little like sharp, like, yes, boom, straight to the center of that one. Um, definitely. Um, what about like, do you have any examples that come to mind when you think about like times when maybe you didn't listen to that intuition?
Goodness, I've been there so many times.
Probably hard to think of just one, but
I got
yeah,
a lot. There actually, you know what? I'll use my husband as an example because there's a happy ending.
okay.
The first time I saw my husband was at, my sister married his cousin, and she had this really fun engagement party at this bar in Chicago, and it was a movie moment, and so it's, like, one of my favorite stories because I walked into this bar and was like I literally heard that whisper of knowing, and it was, "There he is." And at the time, I didn't know I had that gift of, that, like, knowing, but I was like, "What? Like, where did that come from?" Because I mean, he was an attractive guy, but I was like it was a very clear voice. And so we ended up talking the whole night, and we didn't start dating for 2 years later, but even when we started dating, I was nervous because his cousin's married to my sister, right? So I was like I told him, "No, like, we can't date," and we didn't talk for a couple months, but everything inside of me pulled me back to him, and that was that full body yes that I was describing earlier. And we got married 5 years later, and we've been married 10 years, so, 15 years together. So I did doubt my intuition there, and I told myself no because I got up in my head, but, like, look at how it panned out, and, I'm really glad that I didn't ruin my chance with him.
Yeah, you had enough sense to at least have the conversations and to keep the channel open, I
The
guess.
communication going,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. You named that knowing. I'm guessing
Yeah.
you're referring to claircognizance.
Yes.
Is that yeah. Could you share with any listeners what claircognizance is and how you experience it maybe and just
Yeah. So I don't it doesn't happen all the time. I don't call to it all the time. I do believe we all have all the clairs. I think there's 7, right? Is there 7?
I would be lying if I said no, but I feel like that's possible. I don't know
I
why I
think
want to say between
it's
5 and
either
7.
7 or 9. I feel like it's an
Really?
odd number. We'll
I don't
have
know.
to
This
look
is not
back at
totally
that.
my territory. I'm familiar, but not,
So, as far back as I can remember, I feel like I've always had that gift, and I just thought it was my own thoughts. But there's been now that I'm getting older and, like, think back on all the traumas and the triggers and the life experience I've had, there's been so many moments where those messages just dropped in to me, and I thought it was my own thoughts, you know what I mean? But I really think it was God or spirit or the angels, and it was it was their way of guiding me and speaking to me and saying, "Danielle, this is where you need to go. This is what you have to do." Because if I think back to Danielle in her 20s, I was always in my head. I'd make myself crazy. I'd have major anxiety. Um, I felt like I had to be married by a certain time, which I know this is so relatable, but a lot of women feel you have to be married by a certain time, have children by a certain age, have the right career path, the right place to live, enough money, um, be Instagram famous or whatever it is. It's like at the time Instagram wasn't a thing for me, but like we put so much pressure on ourselves. So I'm grateful I have this gift because it's come in at some of, like, the biggest moments of my life when I didn't even know to ask for it, but it's just dropped in.
yeah, that's really cool. I mean,
Mhm.
I think that that is probably one of my most active clairs that I'm like that I
Really?
feel like really connected with because I also experienced that where it's just like this sudden like realization and it comes in so clear and like unmistakable and it can be just the
Mhm.
simplest like short little statement or just
Yeah,
idea and it just I don't
yeah.
know. Yeah, it's amazing. It's also very reassuring because I think so often, like you said, it's, this thing you didn't know you needed, and then all of a sudden it's in your ear.
Yeah, I have major chills for that. So how do you call on yours or how do you work with that gift?
Honestly, I'm not really spending a lot of time consciously working with that gift. It's just something
Oh,
that will just kind of drop in. It
cool.
just it like knocks on
Yeah,
my door, and
exactly.
I don't even have to work with it. It just I mean, I'm sure it would probably be visiting a little more often if I were actively working with it, but I have as you know, I have a really hard time slowing down, and I think being able to connect with these kinds of gifts really requires the slowdown. And
The
actually, that
slowdown.
makes me think, like, could you share a little bit about, how you slow down to connect with these kinds of gifts and just kind of like
Goodness.
with yourself?
I now that I'm a coach and, like, went through my certification process and everything, I realized a lot of the things that brought me to stillness were things that happened as a child that I naturally, yearned for, such as I made I can't even tell you how many notebooks full I would write poetry in, and this is before really computers. We didn't really use computers. It sounds so old. But like I used to write a ton of poetry. I'd sit in my bedroom and listen to my radio and play CDs and I would sing and um what else? I would draw because I'm an artist as well. I would love going for runs and I feel like that was a really good time for me growing up to like clear my head or just be in nature. Um I realize how the older I've gotten, I go back to those things all the time. I don't write poetry much anymore, but like I've gotten back to journaling and sitting outside and I really like watching the birds and just being in nature alone, I feel like is so calming and healing for the collective as a whole that it's like if I feel overwhelmed by my cell phone or computer or the TV or noise from my family, it's like I just go outside now and I just sit there, and I'm just like, okay, let's be still and that's part of the reason I created the name that I have, the Be Still and Glow. It comes from a Bible verse that says, Be still and know. And my mom actually has like a sign in her bedroom that says that, and, like, even to this day, if I ever go to her and I'm like, "I just don't understand," she'll point to it. And so when I was starting the coaching, I was like, "It has to be related to that because that's gotten me through everything." So, but stillness is so important to connect with yourself and to calm down. So make sure
Yeah.
you're all taking the time for that, anybody listening.
Yeah, it's I feel like moms especially, we have a really hard time carving that time for ourselves, and that's I mean, part of I think why I enjoyed our session so much is just because
Yeah,
it was, like, so strictly time for just me that, it was powerful for sure.
it is. Well, and we often just kind of poo-poo the time we need, but like 1 hour can make such a difference talking to somebody that can understand you or just even listens to you.
Yeah, we moved through a lot of stuff in that 1 hour, like, I was, like, shocked. I was like I felt like we just jumped down to the bottom of the rabbit hole,
We
like,
did.
really quickly, and, I mean, that heart centering exercise, I feel like really
Yes.
did something because I have a little bit of a heart wall for sure.
Yeah.
Danielle cracked that bad boy right open. I was like, "Oh my god." I feel like a little exposed, but it's okay.
Did
It's
you
okay.
at least feel like safe and supported?
Yeah, I did for sure. You have I mean, we know all about your blue and pink aura from our class with Mary, our color class with Mary, but, Danielle is just if you're still here listening with us, I'm sure you see what I was talking about when I shared that this was just a magical, warm, fuzzy human, and yeah, it was
Thank you.
beautiful. It was.
That's really and I'm wearing pink too, so that's funny.
You should be. You definitely should be. Yeah, I had one other question pop into my mind when you were sharing about the be still and know, be still and glow, which I really, really love that be still and glow. I think it's beautiful. I think it's like so perfectly suited for you too. And yeah, I love that name.
Thank you.
But, and I don't want to put you on the spot with this, but we can edit this out later if we really need to. I have a question for you because it's something that I actually wrote a blog post on this on like my own kind of experience with it because the idea of having this, more traditional relationship with religion and then, living in this other kind of more spiritual world, like how do you balance that or how do you approach that? Like how do you handle that?
I love that question. Please keep it in the podcast because I feel like it's very important for people, especially people like me that are religious because, I know going through the course, for example, I really felt like, "Wait, do I have to choose?" Like, that was a dichotomy for me for a minute, and I said, "No, Danielle," like, my intuition spoke loud there too. And I said, "No, I still believe in everything I was raised to believe growing up Catholic." I still go to church on Sunday. Um, I don't go every Sunday. We try to, of course, but I have the holy water in my house. I really believe in um, Blessed Virgin Mary, and Our Lady Guadalupe is like a huge pivotal woman in my life that I pray to often. I am very connected to my angels, so I really believe in like Archangel Raphael and Archangel Michael getting us through some of the stuff we've gone through as a family. But then it's like the spiritual side of it is very much married to it in the sense of like, how do I say this? It's like I've gotten to a place in my life where I very much am surrendered to God's will and plan for my life, right? But there's moments where there's something deeper than that that like speaks to me in nature, right? Like I'll be outside and I'm just kind of like certain things will happen. Like, for example, okay, so I really truly trust and believe I have a daughter in heaven. And here's the perfect short little story I could share real quick to kind of tie in like the religion with believing in the spiritual world is, my husband and I went to a coffee house in Idaho yesterday morning before our flight back to Chicago. And I had asked Penelope, I call her Penny for short. I was like, Penny, if you're with us on this trip, please send us like a quick little sign this morning. So we go and we get the coffee and we're walking back to the car. I kid you not, a penny falls out of my husband's pocket onto the ground. And I was like, "Oh, thank you, Penelope." Like I was like, "Baby, she's here." Like I was like, "Alex, like my goodness, like she's here." And he was like, "What?" And I told him and he's like, "That's really awesome." Because it's that easy to just call on it and say, "Gosh, I need a sign in this moment. Like God, universe, source, whatever you believe in, like, please send me a feather. Please show me a cardinal. Please promise me you're going to get me through this. And like, holy cow, does it deliver every time? It's just giving it, whether it's to God,
That's
universe,
amazing.
source. So I hope that answers the
I
question.
love that. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I mean, I think, that was kind of the bottom line for me as well is that, I don't believe that God put all of this on the earth for us, if not for a reason. And like, I believe in the power of the plants and like just I mean, everything in nature has a purpose, it's just yeah, it goes so much deeper than people allow themselves.
Yes. Well, and
Yeah.
it's like if you open yourself up to it, it's so magical too, isn't it? It's just kind of like, wow, like I know you love to garden, so I'm sure your flowers like speak to you in a way. You almost probably have a relationship with them, right?
I mean, sometimes, yeah, it's just I think it's more like I think it's the grounding for me because that is really like the number one way that I personally spend time in nature. So it's like I think it's, that kind of connectedness for me. And I don't know. And like my blog post too goes into like the idea of looking to the stars. And it's like, I don't know, I go into some of like the verses that people, call out as having, you know, maybe being against people looking to the stars for any kind of answers. And like I share a different sort of perspective on how we see that and based on like the times that they were living in then and just a different way to look at it because I think, yeah, again, like they're not hanging in the sky for nothing at all.
No.
So, but
No, I
yeah.
love that. Well, and how do you tie in like your astrology stuff with your spiritual life?
Mm. I mean, gosh, that's tricky for me. I have to think on that for that is I mean, I think it's not so much that I necessarily tie it into like a
Yeah.
spiritual experience, but more just like a connectedness to the world and to the people and to just the way that we live life. I think I see it more like that. Yeah, I use it for deeper understanding of like myself and how I connect with others and like how I parent, all of that, and, how I have relationships. Yeah. This is so fun. I have a feeling that my husband's gonna be coming home any minute and the dogs are gonna go absolutely bananas. I was here like mapping out how I'm gonna be able to mute my microphone real quick if that happens. Anyway, how can people find you if they
Oh,
want to?
so yeah, absolutely. I have a website, but really the best way to reach me right now is Instagram, I would say. So my handle is at b dot still dot and dot glow. So be still and glow on Instagram. You'll see the name Danielle, spiritual life coach, next to it. Yeah, you could follow me there for sure. I do have a website linked to that through Canva. That I might be switching over to a different website. I'm still kind of finagling. I'm not very good at this.
That is, you know what? I'm gonna link all this in the show notes too, so don't worry.
Great.
Don't feel like you have to jot it down. Yeah, and that isn't that so much of it? Just like putting one foot in front of the other,
That's all
one
it is.
step, one day, whatever at a time.
Trial and error.
Yeah, for some of us, for sure.
Can I
Anyway,
share as well that for anybody that's in the Chicagoland area, we are working on, me and my girlfriend Christina are creating a wellness event that's going to be August 23rd from 1 to 3 in Park Ridge, Illinois. If anybody's interested, like message me and I'll send you more details as things
nice,
come. But we're going to try to make that a monthly thing.
nice. That sounds awesome. That
Thank you.
sounds yeah. I'm sure I'm a little bummed that you left me in Florida, but I don't blame you because I have been just sweating to death out here lately.
Chicago's been humid too. Actually, Idaho was perfect weather, like 80s and no humidity. And pine
That's
trees everywhere.
amazing, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Danielle. This was
You're
amazing.
welcome. Thank you.